Okay, welcome to the season finale of the Mike and Mike podcast. Mike Costantino.
And Mike Plantonio.
We're here live at Otts in Washington Township before a live studio audience. They were gracious enough. Thank you, fans. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep it down there. Right?
They were gracious enough to let us come here to film our last podcast of the season. So we got a lot to go over. First, we're going to start with the playoffs, Mike.
Yeah, right.
The JV championship in the JVB division.
With Clearview and Kingsway. Very good game. Excellent game.
Clearview won 4-3. Late on, with 4 minutes left, they scored.
4 minutes
snap
left.
A 3-3 tie. Kingsway has a girl goalie who was tremendous.
Played very well. Really
well.
good.
On the season, she was 5-1-1.
Right.
She had 3 shutouts. Rachel Hinckley, really good goalie. Unfortunately, they scored late in the game to ruin it for Kingsway, who's really come on since the first season when they joined the league.
Right. I mean, Clearview had a strong team this year. They're a very tough team to beat, and Kingsway gave them it all. Did a great job, I thought.
The JVB level is supposed to be, I guess, a teaching level, would you say?
Yeah, developmental.
Developmental level,
yes.
Some people would argue that some of the players, some teams.
Yeah, you got to. Certain players try to beat this. Certain players don't belong at JVB.
Right.
That's the purpose of the JVB level. I know there's players on varsity level that do play down at JVA or JVB or JVA. But if anybody that's really good, we kind of encourage, even if they're freshmen, kind of encourage them not to go JVB, but to go JVA if they're going to use those type of players.
Right. They should. If they're going to be on varsity, they really shouldn't be playing JVB, in my opinion. Right. We've had that discussion with the league.
Well, yeah, it all depends on the talent level. I'm not always 100% opposed to that.
Now let's move on to the JVA championship.
Yes.
Where Cherry Hill East played Cherokee in a really back and forth game.
Yeah, that was a good game.
That's another game that was tied at 4, and with 4 minutes left in the game, Cherry Hill East.
Cherry Hill East won it.
Scored to steal it away from Cherokee, and our head coach Dave Sable, who did a nice job all season.
Yeah, Dave did a great job this year with that team. Did an excellent job. Between the JVA and JVB team with Cherokee this year, the numbers were short, so they had to kind of share the players a little bit.
Now you coached the Cherokee JVB team.
Yes, I coached the Cherokee JVB. First season with Cherokee.
And how did that feel, going from Eastern to?
It was different. It was different. I wasn't sure how I was going to take that, but the players and the kids on the team are wonderful. We're great. We're awesome. It was a great bunch, and I'm actually looking forward to coming back next year with these players.
So a lot of teams have said you went to the evil empire side.
I went to the my past players are calling me a traitor. It's like.
And how do you respond?
But it's Eastern's been my life from the very beginning. I've been with Eastern for many years. I retired from it. I stepped down. I was out of coaching. But a good friend of mine runs Cherokee High School and needed a coach in the worst way, and he worked on me all summer and convinced me to coach. So I came back into coaching.
A conversation at one point as well.
But going back to Eastern, Eastern's in good hands. Eastern was taken over by a group of people that took that club in a whole different direction. They did an excellent job with it. So
they did. The coaches has really done a great job. I mean, they were in the championship last year. They won the championship and lost in overtime this year. So yeah, hats off to Tony and
Brian.
And Brian doing a great job with the Vikings. So you will be back at coaching.
Yes, I will be back with Cherokee next year. I made up my mind. I'm going to be back.
So if Eastern reached out to you and said, Mike, we could use help on the bench.
Right. Yeah, I thought about that, but it's like it was hard because when you got a bunch of players you coach this year with Cherokee that are, these kids are all begging me to come back. So I can't just come in here one year and turn my back on them. They're a great bunch, so I'm coming back.
You're coming back. Awesome. All right, so let's move on to the Tier 2 championship where Cherry Hill East was in it against HLV.
Right.
Now, Cherry Hill East had to win. They came out of the losers bracket, so they had to beat HLV twice. HLV went through the bracket undefeated.
Right.
And Cherry Hill East had an uphill battle as they had to beat HLV twice.
Yeah, Cherry Hill East They came out playing hard the first game. They played really well in that first game.
They won 5-2.
They won the 5-2. Now HLV was a strong team all year long too.
They were surprised this year.
Yeah, they were
really, really good players. Kilkenny,
right,
played really well. The goalie played outstanding.
Right. I actually thought that HLV was going to win the whole Tier 2.
I
the way
remember you predicting
were
that
coming
incorrectly,
to the end of the season.
But yes, you did. I thought Cherry Halise would win. Coach Bustler's done a really good job with that squad.
And they, the top 7 players on Cherry Halise were all balanced and scoring through the playoffs. From 7 points to 5 points. So they had
a lot of seniors.
They had a lot of depth this year. So
and Martini, who was
good goaltender, yes.
I believe he might have won the award for best goaltender.
Yes, he was a Tier 2 goaltender, the Glenn Holland Award. Yes.
So in the championship game, he was tremendous. He stopped all but one shot, like 32 shots.
He played very well.
And he was the difference as they won going away 7-1.
Right.
And we congratulate Cherry Halise.
Right. Congratulations to Cherry Halise for the
Coach Bustler, Coach Amon, one of the.
Amon was the other coach, and
great assistant coach.
Right. Who else was there? God, I can't think off the top of my head. I know Scott.
Well,
I know I'm missing
Amon,
somebody.
There's no one else. Once you got Amon and Bustler,
Amon's going to love you for this.
I know. Shout out to you, Ed. Doing a great job.
Yes, Ed.
So, okay, why don't we take a break? When we come back, the Tier 1 winner here, Scott McKay, who's won a lot, and you're going to talk to him.
With the Cherokee coach,
with
yes.
the Cherokee coach. And
Tier
we'll
1 championship team.
And come back right after these messages.
I'm here with Scott McKay with the Cherokee Chiefs Ice Hockey Club. This year they are the Tier 1A championship team. After losing double elimination in overtime to Eastern in the opening round, and then you beat Township 7-0, and then you came back and beat Eastern 4-3 to force the deciding game. Tell us a little bit about that.
We beat Morristown 2 between there.
And you beat. Okay, I missed that one.
So no problem. No problem.
You beat Morristown there. But getting into you had to beat Eastern 2 games in a row, and you beat them the first game 4-3.
Yes.
So tell us about the deciding game.
Well, we've managed to come out of the losers bracket a number of years, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it can be a bad thing. But we felt like we were on a pretty good roll. We beat a good Township team 7-0, and we came back and beat a Morristown team who had only had 1 loss the whole season. So, and we had lost to them both times. So we felt pretty confident about ourselves. And I said, getting to that first game was going to be crucial for us. That was our championship game. But getting into that final game, it's anybody's game. Anything can happen. You get a bad break or something could happen. So we felt that our depth was going to be what was going to carry us.
And that went in overtime as well.
Yeah, actually both teams scored a goal in the first minute of the game, and it stayed tied 1-1 for 44 more minutes.
That was a great game.
Going into overtime was pretty scary because we didn't want to go into shootouts. We wanted to try to win it right away. So a couple minutes into the thing, we scored and took the championship back.
Well, this is your 6th title in 8 years. Again, through the losers bracket. Does it get any easier?
No, they all get more difficult. Losing that first game was tough.
Right.
We felt we were good enough to get through it, but Eastern's a great team. They were the previous champion last year, so we had to battle hard, and that was a tough loss considering we scored in overtime in the first game, and it was disallowed, and then they won the game finally in an overtime goal. So
your team's a pro coming out of the losers bracket.
We've gotten very good out of the 7 years I've been involved, 6 years we've come out of the losers bracket to win the championship. So not easy to do, but we're okay with it at this point.
Well, let me ask you something. The team that you had this year, your championship team, would this beat your first championship team that you had? How would you compare them to?
That's a good question. This year's teams, I think their depth was similar, but our team was younger this year. We had 3 freshmen on the team. We had a freshman goalie in the championship. Right. So you kind of never know what could happen there. The nerves could get to these young guys, but I think our other team was more older and more mature in some sense.
You had players like, I think the Miller boys were on the team.
Yeah, the Miller boys and Zucker and
probably the best players in the league at the time.
Yeah, we had some great players. So
And Hoffenegel too, right?
Yeah. So we had
that's a pretty hard,
tough team to beat, probably.
Yeah, that's a pretty
especially with the experience we had.
Right. Being president of the club and coach, how do you handle both jobs?
It's not easy at times, but I think the success of our club has come down to the longevity of the people that have been involved. You know, I get to see other clubs that come through and they have parents that are involved in the program sometimes, and they might only be there for 2-3 years, and then they leave, and then new people come in, and you have changes, and people want to do things their way and different way. I think the fact that I've been involved with Cherokee for 19 years now, and our board has got 10, 11 years on, so I think that stability has helped us, and none of us have any players.
What you're saying is basically same thing that happens with the league. You have new people coming in, and you know,
it's tough. You have to retrain them, and and they don't realize the experience that you've gone through and the failures you've gone through, and learning from those failures to become better each year. So I think that's really helped the club, being around the same people, being there for years. Change is good, but sometimes it's not a great thing.
So how long have you been doing this?
I've been coaching totally for 23 years, 19 years at Cherokee.
And how long do you plan on going on doing this?
I ask that every year to myself, like, you know, I keep thinking maybe I'll do...
It's like re-asking as being president.
Right. I'll do 20 years maybe and then consider, but what happens is you get a new breed of kids coming in every year, and you want to kind of see it through their 4 years of high school. And then I'm also thinking, if I do stop coaching, what am I going to do? You know, I'm going to have to find something to do for those 3 nights, and it's a passion I've had since I was young, and you know, I guess I'll keep doing it until they tell me they don't want me anymore. Right.
As being your JVB coach, it's a little different this year because I get these young kids that are coming in, and my goal is I really want to push them to get to your team level, the player team level, and the way Cherokee does things, it's a whole different ball game, you know, and that's what makes me excited to coach this young JVB team, because just to get them to get to the varsity level and be good is rewarding to not only the coach, to the player.
They have to realize it is developmental, and the goal is to play everybody and let everybody get stronger, because we've had kids start playing hockey in 8th grade and have come on to be pretty good players for us. The Anthony Salvatores, the Kyle Horners, guys that just started and were good players for us in their senior year, and were big helping us winning championships. So it's really important to have good coaches down at the lower levels so that they're being developed correctly, and not just saying, well, let's shorten the bench in the 3rd period of the game when you've got a team that's really developmental. But they want to win.
So out of all the teams you coach, who would you say is your best leadership player you had in all the teams you had?
That's a tough question. We've had a lot of good leaders.
A lot of good leaders, yes. And I named a few too myself. So I mean,
I would boil it down to 2 kids. Johnny Quinlan, who graduated in 2011, and Cole Zucker, who graduated in 2013 or 14. They were similar. They were very quiet when they first came here, but they really led by examples on the ice. But as they got older and matured, they then were vocal kids on the bench and in the locker room.
I've witnessed Cole Zucker. He's definitely a leader.
Well, what's a neat thing is that both those kids went on to play college. Johnny Quinlan played at New England College, was the captain of the varsity, their New England College team his senior year, and Cole Zucker is just graduating this year from Delaware, was the captain of his team and the MVP of the league. So,
you also had another leader, Dylan Bradley, who's still around the rink and still showing leadership example even with the team this year.
Dylan was probably one of my favorite players ever. He was a good player on the ice. He might not have been a total elite player like some of the other kids maybe were, but he was the guy that made everybody play harder and really made them understand what it took to be a champion. And he came into the locker room the first game of the championship.
Yeah, he's a good kid, good leader, definitely.
One of my favorite players by far.
So just a couple questions I'm going to add here is the best forward player you coach. What would you say your best forward?
Wow.
Your best forward and your best defenseman.
I would say Louis Sarcone is obviously one of the top forwards we've ever had, along with a Cole Zucker.
Louis and I go way back, 2004.
Ryan Miller, you know. It's really difficult. It's not easy. We have young kids now. Jeremy Ambrose he's still a junior.
You had a lot of talent.
We've got a lot of good players that come through this program. Must be the water or something in Marlton. Certainly not the coaching. But and then best defenseman would probably have to be like a Johnny Quinlan for sure.
Right.
Solid, knew his role and knew how to win, and that's key.
Well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Again, congratulations to Cherokee High School. Scott, congratulations
Mike,
for the championship this year. And
got a new trophy.
Good job.
Yes.
Okay, and we're back. We're fortunate enough to be joined tonight by Renee Richeza.
Well, thank you for having me.
Former secretary for Washington Township Ice Hockey Club. Correct? Did I have that correct, Renee? So why don't you tell us about yourself first?
So I'm a wife and I'm a proud mom of 2. I have a daughter in her 3rd year at college and a son who's graduating, Joey, this year from Washington Township High School.
We played on the team, right?
Yep. He started out his freshman year on varsity, and that's how I got involved. I was asked to, if I was interested in being the manager of the varsity team.
Okay.
And so I accepted, not knowing what I was getting into.
Big salary position, right?
Yeah.
They pay a lot of money.
You know what? It's so funny because my husband, I am like big volunteer person.
Right.
So my husband calls me No Pay Renee.
No
No
pay
joke.
Renee.
No Pay Renee.
I like it.
So, the job descriptions that I had with Township were starting out, like I said, with the manager position at Washington Township.
So when he was a freshman, you were managing the club.
Right, for the varsity team.
Okay.
That instilled like some getting to know the players, getting to know the parents, sending out the emails, reminder of games that were coming up.
So was it tough that your first year as a freshman coming in, not knowing many? I'm assuming you didn't know many people.
I didn't. And Joey actually was the only freshman.
The only freshman on the varsity
on
team.
the varsity team, so I didn't know anybody.
And you seem kind of quiet and reserved, so I would think they would have been a difficult transition for you.
No, they were great. They were very
great,
warm,
awesome.
and I jumped in and handled it.
So the first year you were the manager of the team.
Yes, and then I went on.
What did that job entail?
So yeah, like I said, that was kind of more of emails with the parents and players, reminder of games, schedules, changes, pretty low key. Then I went on to be the secretary. So
for the team, which is a lot more involved.
A lot more involved. So the secretary, I'm going to kind of intertwine a little bit. The secretary was involved with, our club, things that were going on within the club.
And is there fundraising with the club?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've done fundraising. One of the biggest fundraisers I helped put together, we had a parent ask if we could do a car wash, which her cheerleader daughter did that.
Yes.
So we just had our 2nd year. Our first year, it's over $1,000.
That is.
We raised for our
some
club.
of my money at that car wash.
Oh,
at
good.
the high
I hope
school.
you got a clean car.
I did. But I would think to add vacuuming the cars.
Yeah, I know.
That's great, because a lot of times, you get the car washed and it doesn't get vacuumed. So maybe while you're
that
done.
might be a good thing.
Yes.
To add. Maybe the price will go up. Extra donation.
That's okay.
So that was really good fundraisers. We do some at PJ Willihan fundraising. So the secretarial position is actually really good, but our club consists of, when it works, 5 on the board member.
5 board members, okay.
So it would be your president, vice president, assistant vice president, secretary, and treasurer. But 2 years ago, it was a struggle for us because we only had a president, a secretary, myself, and a treasurer.
Okay.
And at that point, we had to do pretty much every task. We did each other's task, whatever we could help out to keep the club to continue.
So you couldn't get someone to volunteer for that position?
No, it was really hard. The parents really aren't.
It's a tough struggle to get people, because they work, you have their life, but the important thing is to be more involved with your kids, as I know you are, and as a parent, grandparent and parent I was, is to get involved in the activities and do what you can. To not have to be short-handed makes it more task for the other four people.
Right, and it's kind of stressful because you want the club to keep going on, and you believe in the club, and you have, you know, a middle school team that we handle, a JV team, and a varsity team.
So you were responsible for
the whole club.
Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot of players. Probably 50 or so players.
We're looking at about 30. Yeah, exactly, 50. We're about 37 between JV and varsity.
It's
right,
a lot of players to take care of.
17.
Well, I have to go to my glasses because I can't see my writing.
I think we're on number 3.
Number 3. So are you surprised more parents do not volunteer their time?
I'm surprised, but I'm not shocked. And I kind of noted that each club might be different in the way that they handle their club, but I think from my experience, you don't really know what is involved in handling and continuing a club.
Right.
And I think it's really, my point of view is the not knowing. And what the tasks are, and families, you know, outside of work, they have their busy lives.
Yes.
Other kids that are involved in other things, not just the one child or two children that are involved in the ice hockey program. So, you know, that is hard.
And it's a thankless job. I mean, we go to these meetings once a month, and the representatives come, and half of them are, some of them are women that contribute just as much behind the scenes as guys do.
Right.
And it is a strictly volunteer.
Right.
You're not getting anything extra for doing it, but someone has to do it.
Right.
And it can be rewarding at times, right? I would think.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, you know, you think about volunteering for something like that, you have to think about, you know, if you believe in the club or you believe in, you know, whatever it may be, the interests of your child, being there to support them, whether it's school or another sport or ice hockey, I think any helpful insight you can give is
I agree
good
with you.
for the club.
So what about a highlight, your personal takes from over the 4 years that you were with the club?
So there's a lot of highlights, but what I feel like to keep the club to continue to go, I think, you know, we try to have our board meetings, an open board meeting once a month, and when that happens, I think it's really important for a parent to try their best to
attend.
Exactly, just because, you know, you get ideas on how the club is running. You can ask questions.
So if you want to have a voice, you got to go there.
Absolutely.
It's sort of like voting. You can't really say anything if you don't go vote.
It's very important. The second thing, we implemented it last year, and I don't know if Washington Township's doing it again this year, but this past year I had a co-secretary, and that
like
helped.
Exactly,
and that helped with more hands on deck. It also, what I think would be great if we can have a co for every position on the board, only because we are a board that continues to
evolve.
Yeah, you know, go with the flow of, you know, the players, and some do come back, but only maybe a few, maybe one. But I think if we had a co for every position, that person, like my co, she had her hands involved and learning about what goes on the program, whether she wants to, you know, apply for her co-position, you know, secretary again, she can, but she can also, you know, apply to another position, but is aware of what it takes.
Is there a club rule where once your son graduates, then you're done, or you could still volunteer?
No, I think you can still volunteer. We have some that are on it now that their children have graduated, some are coming back. I think we tend to leave and maybe trickle back.
Right.
But
I know
it's
Linda
not
Saylor,
a role.
Linda Saylor.
She's back. She's doing a great job. She helps out. Yep, she's got a little kid coming up.
She had 2 boys go through.
2 go through, and she won just in middle school now.
I can remember Eric being at Hollydale, in the scores box, being a pest.
Now he's a ref, like his brother.
Like his brother, and I believe she's got a son in middle school.
Yep, middle school.
So I know that so everything does come back. So maybe
evolving. No more children, but maybe I'll come back.
Come back to volunteer.
Just to help out. Never know.
So would you do it again?
I would say yes, I would volunteer again. Why I would volunteer is because I believe in any program that's created or needs to continue. I believe if there's interest, it should continue.
Right.
Within Washington Township, we've got a lot of players that want to play ice hockey, and our ice hockey club, like I said, there's interest there, but it's not involved in the school's athletic department.
Right, it's not sanctioned.
Right, so yeah, I would do it again to keep the program running. I think if that's something that you feel is good for the kids,
Sure.
and passionate about it, I think it should continue.
I know you mentioned your son Joey, who's been on the varsity since he was a freshman, which is an accomplishment in itself.
Yes, thank you.
For 4 years, and this year there's an award that the league gives out called the Jeffrey Bird Award, which is a former Cherokee player who tragically passed away while playing for Cherokee High School.
Yes.
So his dad each year awards a trophy in his honor, and basically it's each senior is asked to submit a sort of like not a resume, but a letter or an essay to talk about their life in hockey, right?
Right.
And this year, Joey won the Jeffrey Bird Award, correct?
Yes, he was very honored. It's definitely, first of all, it's a beautiful trophy, absolutely beautiful trophy, but I know it's a trophy he's going to cherish forever because of the meaning of it.
I would say that
honored.
this year was the toughest year because it was the year we got the most entrants.
Wow.
And
he's blessed.
It was.
Thank you.
And it was really, really well written.
Thank you.
So you should be proud of that.
Thank you.
You did
Proud
a
of
good
him.
job.
Thank you.
It has to be good parenting.
Thank you.
I know I met your husband. It can't come from him.
Thank you.
It must come from you. I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
And also, Joey, last year, I'm involved, as you know, with the Wings of Steel, which is a sled hockey team.
Awesome.
And Joey did a project on his own.
Yes, he did.
Why don't you tell
He
everyone
did. He
about
actually did that through his Hurricanes ice hockey team.
Right.
And he decided that he wanted to play a game have his team play against the Wings of Steel.
Right.
Which
it's difficult getting in the sled, which
they were in the sled, and they could not believe the next day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, how their arms and their back and everything was so sore.
They use the muscles they don't usually use.
Exactly, but it was eye-opening.
Yes.
It was enriching. And he put around a can, he made a can, and all the parents would pass every game through our travel. Loose change, a couple dollars, and donated
which was awesome.
the money to your team.
And Joe, your husband, has also donated because we have a golf outing very generously.
Yes. Anything we can help out, because it's very expensive to run your program.
It's expensive. I mean, ice, as you know, alone is very expensive.
But your equipment is very expensive.
$650 for a sled. So anyone that wants to donate can go to virtualwingsofsteel.org and make a donation.
It's great.
Finally, I know you're busy and you got to go home and make dinner. Tell us one thing about yourself that would surprise everyone.
EAGLES.
Eagles?
I cheered for the Eagles. I cheered for the Eagles for 7 years.
7 years you were a cheerleader?
I started out in '89. And my last year I was picked as the Eagle cheerleader, the Pro Bowl cheerleader.
So you went to Hawaii?
I went to Hawaii.
Awesome. See, that was something our viewers probably didn't know.
Not many people do.
Not many people know that.
I'm very humble about it.
Well, you did 1989?
89.
Wow, I was just a young pup back then. 7 years you did it?
Well, you weren't a grandfather yet.
Yes.
So what was the highlight of those 7 years? Being elected,
honestly,
going to the Pro Bowl? Or?
They were great. They were very great opportunities. But just like this, charity appearances were my heart.
Right.
Some were paid appearances, but the charity appearances where I went into like the inner cities and went with Santa Claus and smiled, had the smiles of the kids and brightened up their day.
On that.
No, and I think they were the most memorable. Of course, the camaraderie with the girls, and we all have our own life now. We're married with children, and starting to come back, meeting each other again and hanging out because the kids are going to college.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit more time, but
so will there be
I
a
think the
30th
charity-
reunion of the 1989?
I don't know. I mean, we've had reunions. We
have
actually
that.
did a dance of all different years came back, and we did a dance on a field.
At Lincoln
I forget
Financial?
where it was actually, but it wasn't Lincoln Financial. It was
Okay.
actually at a separate field. They taped it, and we actually performed it. The money was all for charity for breast cancer awareness.
Oh, very nice.
So yeah, we do. We still do the alumni, the Philadelphia chapter. We still do a lot of donations, whether it be Toys for Tots, collecting toys or gift cards or something. So your hands are in everything throughout the year.
Right.
Maybe not getting together to see each other all the time,
It's
but
kinda
you
cool how
are.
you formed a bond with
It
those
evolved,
girls
yeah,
over
definitely,
it's been almost
definitely.
30 years.
Definitely.
Anything else you want to add to? I mean, you've been
to
great
most-
to us at SJI Ice Hockey over the last couple of years.
Thank you. I'm going to miss you guys. I'll be at games.
We're going to miss you. You were, very, always
Thank
gracious
you.
to invite us.
Thank you.
To your
Thank you for
banquets.
inviting me to this.
We wanted to get the female perspective because there are
It's important.
a lot of
It's
moms
important.
that work behind the scenes that don't get the recognition that like the coach of a Cherokee does.
Yeah, I appreciate
just because
that,
they won
yes.
6 championships.
Yes, right. Was he on before me?
Yeah.
Did he beat my team?
Yeah, I mean, why does he get all the accolades? There's
right.
people behind the scenes doing work. You
No,
guys
he's
should
a great coach.
Yeah, he is a good coach. Don't tell him that.
No, I won't.
But I wanted to thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And
Thank
good
you.
luck.
Thank
We're going to
you.
miss you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Miss you guys.
We'll take a
Thank
break.
you.
Okay, and we're back. For our last segment here, we're going to talk about the Flyers Cup, which happened in March, right after our championship. And Scott, why don't you start us off? I know you guys made it to the semifinals against Eastern, and for some reason that Eastern that night just had your number, or what was the difference in that?
we had a pretty good first. We weren't sure about Delaware Military Academy, but we had a good first game against them, won 11-4. And felt pretty good about it. But then, of course, we've got to come back and play Eastern, which was our 7th time this season playing them. And I think they had a lot of revenge. I think sometimes it's hard to get up for these games. Though we try to push it, this is a prestigious tournament, but it's tough sometimes to get up and after you just won the championship, but might have been a little let down. But Eastern's tough, man. They, Max Kuznetsov had a tremendous game, and he's tough to shut down.
The Eastern and Cherokee game happened because of upsets we had within the league, with Kingsway beating Morristown, which was a big, huge game, for Kingsway.
Yeah,
Right.
so Louisiana really had a cakewalk to the championship.
They did. They didn't have to play their
They didn't have to play. Unfortunately, Township forfeited because it looked like it was winding up to be an all South Jersey final.
Right.
Could have been. We would have played Salesianum if Morristown had won.
Right.
But who knows with that? They were a pretty good team. From Mike and I went down Friday night to watch the championship along with you, and they were tough, no doubt.
They were tough, but I think you would have beat them, in my opinion.
We would have given them a tougher game.
You would have given them a better game.
Yeah.
And then people complained about there was games every night. How do you respond to that? Every night there was a game.
The thing is, you're in a tournament. You're in Flyers Cup. It's no different than playing a tournament with club hockey. Club hockey has 2 games in one day. This is a tournament sponsored by the Flyers. We're not paying for the ice. It's all being donated to us. And we wanted to add more teams in it, and it had to be done within that week. We can only play Monday through Friday.
Right.
So now we went from 8 teams to 10 teams. So in order to make it work, we had to do playing games. So yeah, you're going to play.
My question is, Scott, do you think that does it mean as much nowadays to be selected for the Flyers Cup as it did 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
I think people don't really understand when we talk about the purity of the league and trying to get teams to go pure. And they always say, "What's the great thing about being pure?" Well, one thing is you get to play in the Flyers Cup.
Right.
And for the teams like the Black Horse that we allowed in a couple of years back, who wasn't a pure team at the time, they thought it was fantastic. They really did. I don't think they realized it.
Flyers Cup.
But they played a couple years ago.
Yeah, when we first started the Delaware's Flyers Cup, the league at the time was struggling for purity.
Right.
Right.
So that's the only reason they were allowed in there.
But they enjoyed it. They really enjoyed it.
Right,
so
right.
that's what we keep trying to tell these other teams. Go pure. You know, you might take a step back a little bit by losing some of those other players, but Eastern went pure 2 years ago and won the high school championship.
They did.
So, I mean, it didn't affect them at all, and I don't think it should affect the Clearviews and the Cherry Hill East. I think they're capable of doing it. They just got to,
It's like they don't want. I keep going back to Kingsway, but when they first came in the league, they didn't win a game.
They struggled.
They struggled the first 2 years.
Now they're.
look at Lower Cape May, too. I mean, they haven't,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, if we had a surf against Lower Cape May, they'd probably kill us all day long. But, you know, as far as hockey goes, they still compete, though. They try
do.
every night.
Right.
So,
Yes.
but Kingsway has been a great example of someone that's struggled at the beginning and has overcome that.
Yeah, right. Well, they got a good program. You know, Mike and Chris are running a good program, and like I said in the last segment, they not only have middle school, they have a grade school organization.
Yeah.
They go even lower. So.
Well, they lost to the championships, Louisiana, by 1-0.
Yeah.
So they played a tough, and we only beat We beat Kingsway twice this year, both by 1 goal.
Right.
I mean, they were a tough team.
They're tough.
Really difficult
really
to
are.
play
I
against.
spoke to this Louisiana coach. He told me that night when they played Kingsway, it was just they couldn't put anything in the net. The goalie just stood on his head.
Right.
Yeah.
Played really good.
I hate to backtrack, but it just dawned on me that we forgot to mention Williamstown winning the Tier 1B championship against Egg Harbor Township.
Yes, yes,
And I don't want to get in trouble with Williamstown and
Yes.
Right.
Jim Elliott because he'll be upset with me. But Williamstown, just to recap, only won 3 games all season.
Right.
And then come tournament time, they go 4-0. So it
Pretty
just
amazing.
proves to you that you get hot at the right time, anything can happen, right?
You
They
get
won.
a hot goalie, or, you know, that's why they play the game.
That's why they play the games, and they
Yeah.
beat a good Egg Harbor Township team, who had a pretty good season as well. So I don't mean to, didn't want to slight Williamstown. I'm glad my memory is still.
Jim's driving over here now, by the way.
I better go out the back door.
Williamstown played a good tournament.
Yeah.
Yes,
They played
They did.
very good games. Very worthwhile.
So what would you
watching.
say to the clubs out there as far as the Purity and Flyers Cup? Is it as prestigious? I know that we've started between the three of us, I think we had a big say in starting the Flyers Cup, New Jersey, Delaware, 5 years ago.
Unless you ask Mike.
Unless you ask Mike.
He did it all.
He did it all, but
Oh no, Micah! Both these guys took that the wrong way.
I remember being on I was
no.
skiing in Beaver Creek, Colorado. Was on a conference call,
Yes.
sitting out on the deck, listening to this thing as we were trying to get this started, which was great.
that's another
that?
subject for
Yeah.
another podcast.
Oh my God! They take everything the wrong way. I'm telling you. Yes, I created the whole thing.
Right.
But I think it's important because you got the Flyers, or NHL team, that are really paying for most of the ice, and they're providing the trophies.
What they're
and
doing is that the rinks are donating the ice. That's the whole agreement they have. Is the rinks are donating the ice, and the Flyers, what they'll do is they'll pay the expenses that we had, like the referee costs, the scorekeeper costs, the EMT costs, and supposedly the pamphlet book costs. But that's another story this year. But you know,
It's a shame that we got out of the Pennsylvania one, because that became a great tournament, and
It was.
we really enjoyed playing in it for years.
right.
I enjoyed being on that committee fighting for the Jersey teams,
Yeah.
and I have to say that it was Cherokee, and I know you'll agree with me, it's Cherokee's fault that the Jersey teams are not in.
Well,
in the
you know,
Pennsylvania
what
Flyers
happened
Cup.
was it was, you know, sitting on that board all the time over there, you know, I sat on that board longer than a lot of guys that are there in that committee now. I mean, I was way back in the past, and we were welcomed with open arms back then. But then when the new group came in, you know, they kind of resented us because we were screwing up their states.
Right.
And what they failed to realize is the Flyers Cup was developed for the Delaware Valley teams. All the development,
Including Jersey, right?
Yeah, Philadelphia decided to use them the base for their states,
Right.
which is understandable. And I understand that Jersey teams can't make their states because we're not a Philadelphia team.
But what does Cherokee go and do? They go and win
Because they asked us to.
the Flyers Cup, and you beat all the teams,
Right.
and you could not represent Pennsylvania in the state championship being from Jersey, right?
Correct.
Correct.
But, you know, it wasn't our fault that Parkland who was an 11 seed, beat the 6-3 and 2 seed
Right.
to go to that other bracket of the championship.
Right.
So,
Right.
but,
I'm being facetious, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
really how everything evolved.
fell
The way
apart.
that was set up that year was set up almost, when I looked at it, to get Cherokee out early.
Yes.
And they had their top teams, and you knocked the teams that
Yeah,
the best
But,
teams out.
We were losing to Central Buck South
Right.
6-4 with a
You
minute
should
30
have
to
been
go,
rated a lot higher.
and we tied the game with 4.5 seconds left. Cole Zucker, and then won it in overtime, and they were devastated. They were so devastated they left the ice and just walked away. You know, so
What team was that?
that was Central Buck South,
Central Bucks. Really?
who's been a top team for years there.
Yes.
Yeah, they have a very good club, very good organization.
But Cherokee over the years has really performed well in the Flyers Cup.
Yes.
We didn't for a while, but we did
really-
recently.
I remember Cherokee and the famous flying
The Flying V.
V.
That was not
Flying
planned.
V. You ever see Scott in the rink? Ask him about the Flying V.
Yeah, great. Oh well.
And staying along the same lines as Cherokee, this year, as I've mentioned earlier, the Wings of Steel sled hockey team, we finally were able to get a fundraiser game together and play against Cherokee. Why don't you tell us about that game? And
I'll tell you what was funny. When I first approached the kids about playing in the game, they were all kind of like half excited, half not sure. And then, one of our players stood up and said, "Well, Coach, we're going to kill them," And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, I said, "Well, we're going to skate right past them." I said, No, you're on sleds." And they're like, "What?" And they were like, "Oh, you're kidding me." And then they got a little excited about it. They said, "This will be great." And the whole day they hemmed and hawed about it. Like, wow, this is going to be, And once they got on the ice, I'd never seen them smile so much in my life. They enjoyed it. I mean, they were running into each other a lot. And they struggled playing it. And we actually we're up in the game 1-0 early, but we ended up getting beat pretty handily 5-3 in the end.
No, but they were gracious. I mean, we raised over $2,000.
Right.
You guys sold tickets for us, and it was a great event. We're going to do it next year again. Cherry Hill East is also going to get on board to play the Wings.
That's good.
To raise money for the team, which is great. And the good thing about it is you guys played us the Sunday night before the Flyers Cup started. So I got to believe those kids were sore.
Yeah, well, our kids are in shape, so they weren't too bad. So.
That's good. Good to know.
They all did complain about underneath their lats were a
So
little
you're
sore.
saying they lost the Eastern because they were sore?
That's right,
You're
probably.
starting to sound like a Michigan when last night's game.
Yeah, right.
And then finally, Mike, I know as being president of the league, we had a segment called Pontonio's Points. Anything in particular you want to address about
the purity in the league is very important. The reason it's important is because purity is high school. We got to a point at one time where a lot of people were bringing the outside players on their team, or we combined teams, and basically what it was doing was creating the teams that look like in-house club. We're not an in-house club. We are a high school hockey club. And that's why I stress purity in the league to all teams. And I understand there is teams out there that cannot become pure due to their demographics, which is understandable. But the biggest thing is the NJSA teams, and for us ever to become some kind of sanction or even a club sport, this type of route that we go, being pure, helps out. And some people say, "Oh, it never happened," but you know what? Funny things happen. I've heard already. Lower Cape May is sanctioned by their school. They get some money. I'm hearing Kingsway is another school that the high school board is looking into. And there was another high school that just came to my attention. I don't know if you remember, somebody was bringing up where their school was looking at them as well. Pennsauken was another one, yes. Pennsauken, who's never been in our league.
No.
So purity is a big thing. Is definitely a big thing in our league. So I stress that to all teams that can go pure, work on it. We have two divisions up at the Tier 1A and Tier 1B. A lot of teams look at purity. Oh yeah, we got to play the Cherokee teams or the Eastern teams. We're going to get wiped. We broke it down in Tier 1A and Tier 1B. They give you guys that opportunity to compete. So I urge everybody that can be pure, go pure.
I think Shawnee did it this year for the first time in a while and competed very well. Egg Harbor
and Shawnee, hats off, both of those clubs. They did great.
Big time.
Did both.
Some of the other guys got to realize what it's all about. And I don't think you get much school support when you have 3 or 4 different schools going to the thing. You're not getting the amount of people that we're getting at our games, and the Easterns and the townships and Morristown gets a lot of
what's going to happen is, like, I'm starting to hear these schools, like even Kingsway and all, starting to express some interest. So once these small schools start jumping and things start happening, then these big schools that the schools are turning their backs on, Eastern, Cherokee, Cherry Hill East, and things might happen.
Right.
You see the little ones, you never know. But we can't abandon the purity. That's very important. So.
Okay. Well, I think that about wraps up our last podcast of the season. I want to thank Art Red, who's behind the scenes.
Thank you, Art.
Never comes in the front of the camera. No. Does a really good job.
Got a face for radio.
He does have a face for radio. He works hard. He's always at the game.
Face for radio. Oh God, that's the first time
I want to thank Otts, John, for having us here. I hope we didn't take up too much time.
Otts in Washington Township must come.
Renee for being our guest. Good luck to her, and hopefully Joe picks between Wisconsin and Ohio State. Go Buckeyes.
Good luck, Joey.
Good luck, Otts staff.
Good luck to Joe.
Danielle. The only good thing about you is that your dad is a referee. No, and hopefully next year we'll do more podcasts.
She's a better waitress than he's.
She's a better waitress than he is a referee.
I didn't think
that was Coach Buffet, 2-minute minor.
That's right.
All right, we'll see you next season, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.